Most people, including me, don't know the scope of the FCC 2015 ruling, or the 400-page document detailing the matter of protecting and promoting an open internet. So automatically, we don't know what we're talking about. Net neutrality is a colloquial term for a solution of a problem that doesn't exist. The problem of people not getting what they wanted was because of content providers, not ISPs. And that problem was solved by the ISPs and content providers coming to agreements, not because of the government. This all came about because of Netflix. Netflix became popular. ISPs couldn't handle the traffic. People weren't getting streaming real-time 4K HD Dolby Surround data they were promised. This is called bottlenecking. So the ISPs had to throttle them and start asking for money from Netflix, saying that they'll prioritize their data as opposed to others, so that their end users are going to be happy. Obviously, they didn't want to charge their users or they'd be losing money. So they charged the content providers. They charged the Netflixes, the ones causing the traffic, the ones causing the problem. This is the same problem with Google or Amazon or Facebook or Apple, who happen to be in favor of net neutrality, who, aside from Google Fiber, are all content providers. So these content providers would have to start charging more so they could pay the ISPs, so the ISPs could better deliver their content through better pipes, through CDNs, whichever infrastructure they use. So instead of spending more, the content providers lobbied the government. Being a content provider, they could also launch campaigns easily. Thus, they created the holy sacrament called net neutrality and put the blame not on them, but on the ISPs who are throttling and blocking and doing all sorts of other things that ISPs do anyway, even automatically, for anyone who knows anything about network administration. And for a time, for example, in 2014, Netflix was slow, it was throttled, and then it became better. But content providers didn't stop there. They even convinced you, the average internet user, that their traffic wasn't the problem. It was the ISP's problem. After all, the ISPs were the ones who sold you unlimited access to the internet. It's not Netflix's fault the internet got bogged down by their content. Blame the people who granted you access. It's not that their gigantic packets that were all requested at peak hours that were bottlenecking every router and switch in the country and now account for 1/3 of all internet traffic. No, blame the gatekeepers. They're clearly intentionally bottlenecking you unfairly, adhering to the laws of physics and trying to mitigate traffic with whatever meager shared lines most of their clients are on. Eventually, these ISPs and content providers came to solve their own problems by building more infrastructure, which would have happened naturally anyway. Suddenly, according to the FCC in 2015, the internet is now a Title II, or a common carrier, akin to a phone service. This is categorically wrong, no matter what legal box you put it into. A student taking a networking course for their first week can tell you what's wrong with this statement. All traffic on the internet is not equal. All vehicles on a highway are not equal. Packets, headers, tails, payloads, they're all different sizes, different encryptions, standards, and protocols. They're all wanted for different reasons at different times. There are reasons why we have peak hours and certain torrent sites have been blocked and why peer-to-peer networks were blocked and sued and killed and so on. The hardware for all this costs money, as does the bandwidth on this hardware. The only way things are going to be faster and cheaper and more net neutrality ideal is with market competition, not through government regulation. You can't make a rule and hope that all data throughout the internet is going to be fast and easily accessible and at low cost anywhere in the world, or at least in the US. I can talk to how this relates to hardware like OC3 and T5s and DSLAMs and FTTN and OSPF, the TCP UDP stack, using tethering or buying package deals or pay-as-you-go, or how DDoS attacks prevent stuff, and all sorts of fun stuff. I can go into detail here, but the internet is a very complex place. There's no government body or regulation that can properly control or regulate it so that it's fair or cheap or going to be better, or as intended, make it more free, whatever that even means. All it can do, or the government can do, is slow it down, and it most certainly can never stop it. The very idea of net neutrality is kind of weird. It's for a problem that doesn't exist, like a company will suddenly start charging more just because it can, as if it was somehow unable to do that now. It's very nonsensical. It's nothing more than the regulation to keep a large content provider big and preventing startups from starting up. It also came with a boatload of regulations that was passed in 2015, which involves fees and startup costs and other things that prevent ISPs from starting. One of the big ones is LLU, or local loop unbundling, which prevents ISPs from even getting a foothold. Government regulators barely know what they're talking about. As smart as you think they are, or as they think they cannot be knowledgeable in the business of becoming an ISP or every daily change in technology. The FCC ruling tomorrow wants to take away regulation. A government agency wanting less power from itself, and thus granting internet, or at least small ISPs and government ISPs, more freedom to get the internet to people. That can only be a good thing, as far as I can understand the idea. But maybe you don't see it that way yet, and that's fine. I'm going to be going into more details later. As always, please leave a comment. Try to keep it civil. I know this is a hot topic, and people have all sorts of opinions in every country where they have their own version of net neutrality, and it works very differently. I'm in Canada, so we have our own flavor, but everything the US does eventually impacts us, hence why I'm talking about it.